All right, greetings. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected and all the viewers are smarter than the average bear. How's it going? Good to see you. It is warming up. Yeah. Judy says, I think I'm in the expanded heat dome, 101 out here. Going south is more average than the smart bear. I'll try to keep it average. I mean, if you can keep it average, I think you're doing okay. Heat Dome, Oregon, says Timothy Martin. Anyways, we're all here. Rockfinners coming in the door. William, Osama, Twitter people, you know what to do. You got to repost the video there and like it. And then send me a message from Twitter. That would just make me so happy. Yeah, it's warm here. I don't know how long the show is going to go. I might try and keep it kind of shortish today because it's very toasty in my studio. Real toasty. But good to see you all. Jazz Farm, hello. All right. Also, I got to thank from the other day. I forgot to thank Mark Cranfield he gave me a 5-pounder super thanks on YouTube. So thanks, Mark. Didn't mean to leave you out there. Jazz Farm says 90 in Oz. Yeah. I mean, it's about 85-ish here, but that means in my studio plus 10 on that. Easy. Because, yeah, it's a shack with no insulation. So the non-insulated shack, which has its actual benefits. The non-insulation. It also cools down very quickly. And in the wintertime, if you close it all up and it's getting some sunlight, some radiation from above, it'll heat up and keep quite warm in here during the wintertime. It's kind of nice, at least during the day. Yes, bird strike can ruin your day if you're a pilot. Something to think about. Yes, Osama. Anyways, guys, good to see you. My follower number on on my Twitter account is 666. Somebody could please follow me and change that number. It doesn't really matter. They just won't let me get above a certain amount. It doesn't really matter. Anyways. Listening to the goats wailing? Yes, I've heard goats wailing. Sounds like the cries of children. They do sound like babies crying in the distance. Yeah, oh well. A lot of people thought that going south. You're right. A lot of people were under the impression that a plane could cut through metal and concrete, but be taken down by birds or seriously damaged by birds. But somehow, if you're going fast enough, you can cut through concrete. You know, it's the speed, you know. Tornadoes. You ever been in a tornado? You know. That's somebody tried to explain that to me. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. Or let's get into it, I guess. Starting off with some world news, and I don't know. Haven't we seen this before? I feel like this is a rerun. Of, you know, bird flu strikes human. Bird strikes human. Bird flu strikes human. Who confirms fatal human case of bird flu in Mexico? But wasn't there a fatal case in like Texas or something already? Anyways, I don't know. We talked about it a little bit on Brain Fallout yesterday. The bird flu. And they're showing, is this on purpose? Anyways. They're showing hamburger patties. That's interesting as an advertisement. The World Health Organization on Wednesday said a person's death was caused by the first laboratory-confirmed human case of infection with H5N2 subtype of bird flu reported globally. And the first human infection with the H5 strain of the virus reported in Mexico. The 59-year-old resident of the state of Mexico had been hospitalized in Mexico City, died on April 24th. That's what? A long time ago. Why am I reading this? It said it was updated an hour ago. See, this is why I actually was kind of like, what? By the story. I'm just reading it because, you know, people want to know. Although the source of the exposure of the virus in this case is currently unknown, H5N2 viruses have been reported in poultry in Mexico. I'm not going to go too deep on the comments around this, but anyways, yeah, you know. The victim had no history of exposure to poultry or other animals, but had multiple underlying medical conditions. Oh, that also sounds familiar too, doesn't it? Underlying medical conditions? And had been bedridden for 3 weeks for other reasons prior to the onset of acute symptoms. Uh-oh. Wait, so... I'm sorry. I can't help it. Yeah, you know. Anyways. So this person died in April, which is a couple months ago, but this is an updated story. Anyways. March Mexico's government reported an outbreak of H5N2 in an isolated family unit in the country's western Michoacan state. Yeah, this person was in bed for 3 weeks but died of the bird flu. Exactly, Judy Truitt. I don't know. I mean, maybe, sure. This is a little bit too hinky for me to read like just deadpan. I was going to read this just deadpan. Like, here's the news, guys. Here, it's just the news, but it's just too weird already. It is too weird already. Anyways, whatever. Person was in bed for 3 weeks, somehow got the bird flu and died of the bird flu, but they had underlying conditions. And where have we heard that before? I don't know. Jazz Farm says, I'm in contact with 50 chickens a day. What? WTF? Anyways. Well, so, everybody. That's the news. That's true and correct. That's what they're telling you. Reuters is telling you is true and correct. I don't know. We'll keep an eye on it. It's a developing story, right? We know. It's been creeping around, the bird flu. It's been creeping around everyone's back door. And, you never know when it's going to leap into humans, right? You never know. Leap. Anyways. I mean, I don't know. I'm just, on some level you have to take the news as face value. But just, keep an eye on the narrative patterning. Just keep an eye on the narrative. That's all I'm saying. It feels awfully familiar, don't it? Anyways. Let's move on. Woo! It's cooking in here already, guys. Might have to do the show from another part of the house tomorrow. If it keeps up like this, my computer just does not like the heat at all. It just doesn't do well. From Jeff Baradelli. Both the hottest May on record and the driest May on record for Mexico. 60 plus dead from heat wave with extreme drought, and Mexico City faces the potential of running out of water by the end of the month. Unless they get significant rain. Seems bad for Mexico, says Brian Schneider. This is a thread. Precipitation departure for May 2024. Very little precipitation. Temperature departure for May 2024. Very warm. 12-month standardized precipitation index. And there you go. 76 near Chicago. Okay. New Chicagoland. Also in Mexico, forest fires been raging in Barranca Grande, Ixhuacan, or Ixhuacan. I don't know how to pronounce that part. So let's move to this article here. Global warming. Yeah, I don't know. Global warming accelerating at an unprecedented pace. I've already read this article, and there's some hinky stuff in here, but we'll read it anyways. Climate change is accelerating at its fastest pace since records began, dozens of scientists warned in a report published on Wednesday. For the past year in particular, the planet has never been so hot. And this is a picture of forest fires in Alberta, Canada on May 10th, which is not so very long ago. This is published in the journal Earth System Science Data. The study found the global warming had increased by 0.26 C between 2014 and 2023. That's 10 years. In that same period, average global surface temperatures reached 1.19 C above the 1850-1900 pre-industrial benchmark. Sure, we'll go with that. The year 2023 saw an increase of 1.43 C. That's what they're saying. Fueled by the naturally occurring El Nino weather pattern. Okay. That's awful close to 1.5, don't you think? The unprecedented pace of human-induced warming comes as the window to limit rising temperatures within internationally set targets closes. Closing closes closed. Closing in on 1.5 C. We are surely closing in on it, even though, I mean, this is kind of misinformation again with the climate change information, which is misinformation because every scientist that I saw that was talking about temperatures was saying it was above 1.5 C for the last year, and for the last, I think for the 6 month period or 4 to 6 month period closing out last year, it was into this year, end of the last year into this year, it was 1.7 for several months running. So I don't know where they got 1.43 from, but that's not correct. So again, this is the prevailing narrative. When you read these articles from these outlets online, wherever they might be, they keep pushing this thing that like, no, we're almost, we still got time, guys. Why? Because they need you to keep on believing that we're going to make everything okay until the very last minute, until everything is not okay. Right? Aaron says they're starting to panic and lie. Well, clearly, yes. I mean, and they're not, but this is the narrative that must be put forth. And it is a narrative because it's a narrative. It's a story. It's not a truth. This is not truth. They aren't telling you, they don't want people to know. They don't want the average, man on the street, woman on the street, man or woman on the street to really, grasp that we're in trouble. They want them to go like, well, that certainly does sound concerning. I hope we can fix the climate change before we get to 1.5. They want people to stay in that space. Anyways, do you think they'll ever admit? Do you think we'll ever get to the point where they'll admit it out loud? It's done. 1.5 C is, I mean, how long can they just keep? We've passed it. It's in the rear view mirror. Clearly, And some people, you can argue whether it was last year or 5 years ago, whatever. I mean, there are lots of people, there are lots of arguments. Anyways, lots of arguments to say that, it's been long gone, long past, but okay, whatever. But I mean, I think at this point it's getting, this is getting pretty threadbare. This particular story it's getting a little old, and it's hard, the emperor's clearly not wearing any clothes. 1.5 has clearly been breached. Going South says it has to be for a full 30-year normal period. I mean, okay. But we're dealing with, we're dealing with a hockey stick and exponential function. If we're going to average out a 30-year period, I think that's, again, setting ourselves up for, yeah. Right. If you're going to downplay, because science itself is full of skepticism usually, unless you're unless you work, anyways, unless you're in the medical industry and you're just the expert and you know everything and you know it and nobody else knows what you know because you are a medical doctor, then of course, then there's no questioning of the science. There's never any skepticism. If you're in the right field, there's never any skepticism. Anyways, but I digress. But when you're talking about climate change, everybody's full of skepticism. Even the scientists are full of skepticism. Lots of it. Anyways. Yeah, this article is a bit ridiculous. Anyways, closing in on 1.5. Here we go. By the end of 2023, human activity had pushed temperatures to, get this, 1.31 C. That's awful close. Are you feeling it? With the month of May likely to be the 12th consecutive month of record-breaking global temperatures, the report said the target threshold of 1.5 C was dangerously close. How many years are we going to stay at 1.3, you guys, or 1.4? Over, under. Are we going to stay there till 2035? Are they going to keep saying this, when everything's on fire and nobody has a place to live anymore or any food to eat? Well, if only we had a World War II-like footing. If we're only a World War II-like response, then we really need it now. Anyways. There will be no World War II-like response. There won't be. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody in a position of power has the wherewithal, to stem the tide. They won't let anybody who even gets close to the truth, close to power, right? Close to actually being able to do something or willing to actually implement something like this, like what might be needed. They won't even let them close to the gates of power. So there's just nobody's coming to save you. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. That is very depressing. There's a tornado in Maryland? Good Lord. Am I lying? I don't know. I mean, we, I guess, are the ones who we've been waiting for, right? They say Jesus is coming. Yeah. Yes. Yes, he sure is. I don't know. I don't know, guys. I don't want to be that depressing guy, but I don't want to be that guy. But I don't want to be that guy, but Osama says, "Do I see Bella?" Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. There you are. There you are, Bella. Jesus is coming, and everything's going to be fine, guys. Okay. You know, I don't want to get super blasphemous. I mean, I'm not really. I don't want to deride anybody's faith, is what I'm trying to say. I just, I hope he shows up. If he shows up, I hope he brings some good news with him. For crying out loud, here's the good news. Or, that's where we're all going. We're all going to the promised land, hopefully. I don't know. Yeah. Bella's been having a hard time on YouTube. Anyways, let's see. Oh, wait, I want to read this comment. Bella says the rapture occurred in October 2011. Holographic Jesus came by and found 3 worthy of ascension. I believe he said there were 2 atheists and a Buddhist. All right. The remaining carbon budget is now only 200 gigatons, or about 5 years of current emissions. So, guys, so there you go. Now they're saying in 5 years we're out of our carbon budget. 5 years. 2029 is going to be officially done according to the carbon budget will be done, and that's when we're going to really hit 1.5, okay? One factor contributing to the heat is the decline in certain polluting particles in the atmosphere that reflect some of the sun's energy back into space. That's why we got to put them back up there as quick as we can with some geoengineering. But by far, the primary driver of global warming was greenhouse gas emissions being at an all-time high. The report is part of a series of periodic climate assessments designed to fill the gap between UN Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change reports that have been released on average every 6 years since 1988. The report's release comes as diplomats from around the world will all fly to Germany for mid-year climate talks ahead of UN's COP29 summit in Azerbaijan in November, where all the major corporations will be represented in their fight against global warming. Exxon will be there, Coca-Cola, Goodyear tires. We've all got to pitch in and do our part to save the planet from global warming. Globular warming. Oh, I slay me. Anyways, let's keep going. That was freaking hilarious, you guys. I'm so amused. How about you? Oh, what was I going to say? Oh, guys, tomorrow, I'm just giving you a quick update, and I'll probably remind you again at the end of the show. Tomorrow at 4 p.m., I'm not going to do a Black Bear News. I'm going to do a brain fallout, and we're going to be on Rumble, not on YouTube. Rumble, Rockfin, Twitter. So if you guys, tomorrow at 4 at this time, go to one of those places. Don't go to YouTube. I ain't going to be there. I'm going to be on Rumble. Okay? Because I'm going to do a brain fallout tomorrow at 4. Okay? Okay. Let's see. God dang, it's warm today. It is a hot today. And I'm sitting under a bit of a magnifier. Peter Dines. Peter Dines. What is Peter Dines saying? Well, one of these days I'll get there. More than 36 million Americans were under heat alerts once again as the climate warms. The U.S. will also become unbearable in many places. Parts of California, Nevada, Arizona, Utah, and Texas are dealing with excessive heat. He wrote mitigation, and I read migration is urgent for this new climate. Migration is urgent. I don't know how you're going to mitigate this. I know he's got some ideas. I think he's got ideas about the Mirrors Project, and I get it. I mean, maybe. I just don't know what we do at this point, because unless we start, growing some trees and regrowing, rewilding the ecosystem real fast, I don't know how we're gonna do this. So, I think migration is your best bet at this point. Sorry to tell you that. I know, sounds dire, sounds kind of doomy. Somebody said Bill Gates wants to block the sun. Right. Well, and that might be. Salt Laker says install a swimming pool in your backyard. That is easy. Easy. You know what I'm saying? Simps, we got this. You know what I'm saying? Just put in some mirrors and install a swimming pool and a couple solar panels, bro, and we got this. Some shade trees. You're good. Sorry. Oh, sorry to be so darn cynical. I know I sound really, really cynical. My bad. Super cynical. There are some, there are actual things that you can do to mitigate some of the heat, sure. I just, once you hit the wet bulb and once you hit a certain degree of heat, there's not a lot you can do. Yeah, there's not a lot you can do other than, I don't know, get underground, get in a cave, go north, something. I don't know. At some point, everybody running their AC is going to knock out the power grid. Jazz Farm says, I want to collect old mirrors and put in a pond. At least the neighbors will think I'm a freak. Aaron says, till the wet bulb hits and your pool turns to a warm, deathly soup. I have a weird sense of humor, but that was funny. Salt Lakers. Yes, Bill Gates figures he can block the sun with his fat ass. Yes. So oh, comedy jokes, guys. Comedy jokes. If they're going to get to mitigating, I hope they get there quickly. It takes, again, someone being in power that's willing to do number one, actually recognizes there is a problem that is existential. A problem which needs action right this second. A problem which needs, to put people on the planet before the economy. A problem. Despite your unpopularity, your popularity numbers going down, or despite the fact that you might get leaned on by the Mossad if you try and do things for the people. Who knows? Mossad, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, it's all the same. Deline says, Kevin, your reactors in San Onofre have been shut down for years now. What energy supplier is supplying your home? Jesus. The Lord. We're getting energy from the sky, didn't you know? The Lord gave us coal, and we're going to burn it. That's what Jesus would want us to do. All right. Just sorry. Not sorry. Sorry. Not sorry. Yeah. China about to get hit by a heat bomb. Bombs away. You guys aren't you're not real churchgoers, are you? I can tell. After 2 weeks of cold weather, most of China is about to usher in a long-lasting heat wave. This is from Jim. It is expected that starting from June 8th, temperature in northern China will exceed 38 C. June 10th, the highest temperature in Hebei may reach 43 C. Golly. Yeah, that's a hot. That's a so dang hot. Yes. Well, for you, Osama, sure. Where is it? Jesus. Jesus. Oh, I don't know where it went. I don't know. I don't know. Jazz Farm says, I have a Master's of Divinity and started a PhD in textual criticism. Religion poisons everything. Salt Licker says, they kicked me out after I started taking 20s out of the donation bowl they passed around. That was a good one. Yeah. Well, yes, mitigate where you can. Not all jokes aside, we're entering a time of big changes. So plan and act accordingly. Do your best. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it, I feel like I missed something I was going to talk about today. By the way, this is a good time to let y'all know if you enjoy this show coming to you for free 99 every day of the week, Monday through Friday, and sometimes on Saturday when we do a little book reading. Little country jamboree, a little book reading. If you enjoy the show, please consider helping out the show financially to keep it going. And if you want to do that, there's a bunch of links in the description box. And, all the usuals, PayPals, the Venmos, the Zells. The ones that go straight to me are the best because a lot of the ones, unfortunately tipping on the platforms where I'm streaming on, man, they take a chunk. So actually the the quickest and cheapest are like the PayPal, the Venmo, and the Cash Apps. Zelle is absolutely free, so there's that. Anyways, most of you already, you are contributors to the show, and I thank you. You know who you are. I do appreciate you. I appreciate you being here every day, hanging out with me. Y'alls are the best. Yes, yes. Hooly lolly. All right. I'm gonna read. Let's see. The end of the show. I'm gonna read this. Hold on one second. PayPal is great. Coffees are cool. Kamashwari. They take a little longer to get to me. It's not too bad. Honestly, like PayPal, Venmo, Cash App are the most direct and the cheapest. Like they take the least. I know people complain about the fees, but they are ultra cheap comparatively. So, yeah, like PayPal is super awesome for me. Let's read this thread from Michael Tracy about the Time interview with Joe Biden. And man, I like Michael Tracy. I like his insights. I really do. I know people have problems with Michael Tracy, but I find him to be an incredibly balanced reporter on the news. And I really do like his takes and his integrity. I think he has a lot of integrity. So I'm a follower of Michael Tracy, and I dig his work. Anyways, he says this new Time interview with Biden is an utter disaster. Here's a thread with the soul-crushing lowlights. First, Biden repeats the comic, if you will, Democratic folklore that Trump wants to abandon U.S. alliances and in particular wants to eviscerate NATO. At this point, this is just pure mind-melting myth. Trump brags to this very day about how he secured additional spending commitments from NATO member states. It makes zero sense for Trump to eviscerate NATO, a key tool of American hegemonic power, which Trump bombastically pledges to maintain and expand. Absolutely nothing from the actual record of the Trump administration reflects doing anything to substantively undermine NATO. Rather, the opposite. He's literally signed off on 2 rounds of NATO expansion, and he elevated Ukraine into a NATO subsidiary status. He increased the funding of the Pentagon funding vehicle for U.S. troops in Europe. He set up new military garrisons in Poland. Trump even recently posted an endorsement of his pro-NATO stance from the NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg. This is so disastrous because it perpetuates the political dynamic whereby Trump is given incentive to further demonstrate how steadfastly supportive he is of NATO to refute this never-ending myth. Biden also sets up the contrast with Trump, where Biden's foreign policy vision is supposedly values-based, whereas Trump is based on something else. Values are code for messianic, liberal interventionist ideals that never hold up to basic tests of constituency or efficacy. Bang, bang, bang. Biden frames the Russian invasion of Ukraine as a big win rather than a colossal failure for the entire world because he pioneered the Jake Sullivan-Bill Burns strategy of selectively leaking pre-war intel to supposedly deter Russia from invading. Yeah, that worked out really well. Biden repeats the mindless myth that Putin is trying to reestablish the Soviet Union, which just makes zero sense on any conceivable level. Biden hasn't updated his views one iota. As Barack Obama once said, the 1980s are calling, they want their foreign policy back. Biden takes it a step further and even claims that Putin wants to reestablish the Warsaw Pact, though he appears to forget the name of the Warsaw Pact. Just to be clear, this is an assertion that Putin wishes to conquer Poland and force it into a new Russian military alliance. Biden's explanation of an endgame is just as muddled and incoherent as 2 years ago. In short, there effectively is no endgame. It's just keep incrementally escalating and hope for the best. No occupation of any kind in Ukraine would have to mean the total expulsion of... Sorry. Lost my place here. Total expulsion of all Russian forces from all NATO territory. That warms the hearts of the most fanatical Ukrainians, but few others who have any reality-based understanding of the war. And in fact, the fanatical Ukrainians are increasingly annoyed with Biden because they still don't think he's escalating U.S. involvement aggressively enough. So he pleases no one here. Not to mention the little addition that Russia is also on course to conquer the Balkans and Belarus, the latter of which Putin would not have to conquer because his lackey, Lukashenko, already runs the country and is forging closer and closer military political ties with Putin. Moving to Israel, Biden claims the Israelis desperately want a ceasefire, which everyone with a straight face should laugh at. There are certain elements that want a ceasefire in Israel, but they have little or no influence on the ruling coalition. This is just a setup. So the continuation of hostilities can be pinned solely on Hamas. It's the reverse of the Ukrainian situation, where now Biden has to demonstrate how unremittingly pro-Israel he is, despite attacks from Trump and the GOP of abandoning Israel. So he has to counter another fiction, just like Trump countering the fiction that he's against NATO. Biden says Israel's not using starvation of civilians as a method of warfare, even though we have a direct quote from the Israeli defense minister and war cabinet member stating unequivocally there will be no electricity, no food, no fuel, everything is closed. Biden says he's not going to comment on whether Netanyahu is prolonging the war for his own political self-preservation, and then says there's every reason for people to think Bibi is doing that. This is the Schumer tack of over-personalizing the war around the figure of Bibi. Next, Biden seems to reflexively rise to the defense of Bibi from Trump's incredibly mild, inconsequential criticism that he has some vague responsibility for the October 7 attack. He then transitions to the standard two-state solution pablum, again pleasing no one, angering all. Moving on, Biden seems to think one of his greatest accomplishments is encouraging the remilitarization of Japan, just like everyone is supposed to cheer the remilitarization of Germany, despite the historical ironies. That's another area where Biden and Trump can sing Kumbaya. This is one of the most ominous lines. Biden tries to garble out a position on whether U.S. military forces will fight China over Taiwan. His attempted articulation of the policy is a sputtering mess. Strategic ambiguity for Biden now appears to mean basic verbal incapacity. Biden says he spoke on the phone with Henry Kissinger 10 days before Kissinger died last November. So that's a heartwarming official confirmation that Kissinger consulted with every president going back to George Washington or something. Last but not least, Biden says all the bad guys are rooting for Trump, man. In addition to being pure stupidity, this ensures the Trump-Biden dynamic will be a dumbed-down food fight over who's toughest on the bad guys. In other words, who's the most mindlessly belligerent? To which someone replies, America will lose the next election. Sounds like Gilligan's Island. Going South says Russia needs more land area. Oh, wait. Putin wants Poland for the jokes. Nice. Nicely done. Anyways, that's a good thread from Michael Tracy. Is anybody paying attention to what they are saying what the Biden administration is actually saying about what they're doing, or are people paying attention to what they are doing? By the way, apparently they're, I don't know. Again, when you see this stuff on Twitter, it can get a little bit frightening and a little annoying because it gets, they like to really do like the whole, China is ramping up for a war against Taiwan. The U.S. is ramping up for a ground war against Russia, right? Like they really, people eat this kind of stuff up, whether it's true or not, I don't know. But there are a lot of threads on Twitter about how, there's troop movements and, they're striking targets inside of Russia with American-made missiles, and this is, provoking. And at face value, it seems like we're provoking an escalation, which is not good. Not good at all, obviously. Not good. I don't know how that can be seen as good. Some people are still in the brain dead category of Putin is really bad. We got to stop him because he's Hitler. Blah blah blah. Some people are still, they just really got to hold on to that. Anyways, I thought I had a post ready for this, but I don't. I'll have to bring it tomorrow. Anyways, again, well, let me make sure I'm not missing anybody. If I need to thank anybody, someone bought me 5 coffees. Awesome. Well, maybe it's Kate. But I don't know because it just says someone. So whoever that someone is, I thank you. Keep on keeping on, Kevin says. I think that's it. Tomorrow at 4. Osama says Fetzer sent out an email with the false claim that the USS Eisenhower was attacked and inflamed. Yeah, I saw that. Hemp car. I don't know. Among those, that's an interesting. I'll have to check out that link. Thanks, Hemp car. All right. Tomorrow at 4, we will not be on YouTube. We will be on Rumble, Rockfin, and on Twitter. We're going to do a brain fallout at 4. I will see everybody then. Thank you for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience, and especially thank you for the conversation. Until next time, peace.